West Ham have rejected Manchester City's opening bid for captain Declan Rice. That's according to Jason Burt of The Telegraph and David Ornstein of The Athletic. Two really reliable sources reporting the same news at the same time this morning. It makes it believable. I believe it, and this is good news. The bid is good news, and West Ham rejecting it is good news as well. I like both. But late last night we got told that Man City had finally made an official bid for Declan Rice. The bid was 80 million plus potential 10 million of add-ons. So the overall package is worth 90 million, which is of course the exact same as what Arsenal's second bid was, which West Ham rejected immediately. However, it's the structure. The structure of the bid is what's important to West Ham, as well as the overall price. It's how is it getting paid? How likely is it going to get paid as well? We know that Arsenal's bid, that 80 million that they offered, was spread over Declan Rice's contract, 5-6 years it would take to pay up, which is normal. That is normal when it comes to transfers. So Arsenal aren't proposing anything ridiculous, or they're not being tight. It's they are making the bid, which is usual in football transfers. It's West Ham that wants an abnormal transfer here, because we're on the watch list of UEFA for financial fair play. We're playing Europa League next season. We've got to be careful. We need money. We need cash flow. And the structure for Man City, we believe, was two lump sums of 40 million this summer, 40 million next summer, exactly what West Ham need. We need cash injections quickly. And then the 10 million of add-ons. But this is the difference between Man City and Arsenal bidding. This is the reality of it. Both clubs could bid the exact same thing in regards to the clauses. We'll accept it from Man City. We will not accept it from Arsenal. Let's strip it down and keep it really simple. If Man City said, we'll give you 5 million when we win the Premier League and we'll give you 5 million when we win the Champions League, and Arsenal made the exact same, 5 million, 5 million, you can accept that from Man City. You can say, right, well, that 5 million for the Premier League is probably a banker. We can assume we will get that, possibly next summer, maybe the summer after, but we will get that 5 million at some point. Hopefully we'll get the Champions League 5 million as well. We'll have to wait and see. But when Arsenal make the exact same bid, you have to assume you'll never see it. You have to say, well, that's not happening. You're not going to win the Premier League. You're not going to win the Champions League. West Ham have to assume Arsenal will not win these major trophies when it comes to negotiating the structure of the Declan Rice deal. So while the overall package is the same, it's the probability of getting paid and how we're getting paid is completely different. But West Ham rejected immediately, and I love it. This is what I want to see. Now, first of all, I'm actually relieved, because we got told on Thursday the bid for Man City was coming, it was imminent, but it never arrived. Friday came and went, the weekend came and went, even yesterday, it was late last night the news came out. So it was 4 or 5 days later and there was still no bid. I was starting to get a bit worried it was never coming, because I've always had a worry that it's a one-horse race, and to be fair, for 2 weeks it has been. Arsenal has been the only club bidding. They've had a clear run at it and they've messed it right up in my opinion. But to have that bid land from Man City last night, I'm relieved, because now West Ham have a bidding war. Now we've got two clubs making official bids for Declan Rice, and Sullivan can hopefully now do his thing. It's not really his thing, but hopefully it becomes David Sullivan's thing, and he starts playing them off against each other, and with a result of getting a really, really good deal for Declan Rice. Now what that looks like, I don't know. We know what the public asking price is, 120 million, but we also know that's unrealistic. I've yet to see a West Ham fan say we'll get 120 million. I don't think anyone believes it. What is the biting point for David Sullivan? Well, while there's two clubs bidding, I don't think he's got one, but he will have a number somewhere that he desires to get out of this deal. What I think, what you think, it'll vary. I don't know. 90 million plus 50 million of add-ons or something worth 105. I do think it'll be worth 100 and something, but I don't think it'll be too much more than 100 million. I think he just wants to break the Jack Grealish record that from last summer as well. So the overall package, I think, would then break a record. But that's a guess. That's just me guessing. The good news is, though, it's arrived, and the even better news is we've rejected it. I like this stance that West Ham are taking. We did it with Arsenal. As soon as Arsenal made that second bid, we rejected it, but we also, say publicly, unofficially, we voiced our displeasure at the bid from Arsenal. Basically said, you're a million miles away. Don't bother coming back with a 5 million. No, you need more than that. Go away. You need to change the structure of the deal. You need to change the clauses, and it needs to be more money. So everything with your bid is wrong. Go away. I like it. I like this stance. We need to play hardball with Arsenal and Man City. So we've done it with Arsenal. Now Man City have rocked up at the table. And we've done it again. I like it. I like this approach from West Ham. It sends a signal to Arsenal as well, saying don't even bother. You've seen what Man City bid. Don't even bother. Because make no mistake about it, I would not be surprised if Sullivan is informing Man City exactly what Arsenal bid. But likewise, I would not be surprised if Sullivan is informing Arsenal exactly what Man City have bid. And do you know something? I hope he is. This is what he needs to do. His job, Sullivan's job now, is to get the best deal for West Ham United. The other encouraging thing about this is Declan Rice potentially going to Man City. And this isn't a petty thing saying I don't want to go to Arsenal. This is the fact that at the end of last week, we got told Man City want to meet up again with Declan Rice's representatives. Make sure that he's open to a move to the Etihad, because we've been told consistently and a lot that Declan Rice's preference is Arsenal. Do you know something? I believe that still, and that still may be true. He can prefer Arsenal, but be open to a move to Man City. That's fine. I don't think there's anything bad with that whatsoever. But while there was an official bid from Man City expected, it came with an asterisk, which was, however, Man City want to speak once again with Declan Rice's camp before making an official bid. It's come out in the last 24 hours that Pep Guardiola met up with Declan Rice himself at the end of the season. Now, I'm not going to elaborate on the end of the season. I'm going to assume that it was after the Conference League final. It's been nearly 3 weeks since we won that trophy. Plenty time for Pep to sit down with Declan. But even if it wasn't, and I'm not going to slag anyone off if it was, I get why some people would be a little bit unhappy with it. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but it didn't impact us because we went and won the Conference League. But I'm assuming it was post-final. But when Declan did meet up with Pep, should it be true, he would have done it with permission of the football club. There's been a mutual respect from Declan Rice to West Ham and West Ham to Declan Rice. I actually think the way they've handled this thus far has been pretty good. So I'd imagine West Ham would know that Declan... It's in West Ham's best interests. It's in West Ham's best interest that Declan Rice did go meet with Pep Guardiola. Actually, yes, please go there. Please let him persuade you to go to Man City, because then we're going to have a bidding war on our hands. Whereas we deny you permission or you don't go and you're only going to stick with Arsenal, it's problems. So the fact that Man City or Pep Guardiola have met up with Declan Rice, they've had more conversations, and as a result, Man City have launched a bid, that would suggest that they've had encouragement. That Declan has said, I am open to a move to Man City, I want to come to Man City, whatever. Maybe Declan's turned around and said, that is my number one choice, we just don't know it yet. But what we do know is that there's been conversations, and as a result of those conversations, Man City have felt comfortable to make an official bid for Declan Rice, which would suggest that he is open to going there, and this is really good news for West Ham. Like I said, it's down to David Sullivan now to get the best deal for the club and play these two off against each other. I actually think the bid isn't bad news for Arsenal, because perhaps a little bit too excitedly as a West Ham fan and naively, I was hoping Man City were going to come in and blow Arsenal out of the water. I did. I was hoping, 95 million cash. There you go. Pfft, what are you going to do about it, Arsenal? We're bidding 95 million, no add-ons, nothing. Much better than yours. They haven't though. Like I said, the overall package is the same. That should give Arsenal encouragement. That should make Arsenal think, okay, while they want Declan Rice, they're not throwing money at this. They're doing what we're doing, which is playing hardball West Ham. So I actually think this is not the worst news for Arsenal. Obviously, they'd rather Man City didn't bid, but I think we knew it was coming. And then I think it's excellent news for West Ham. There's still rumours that Man United will get involved. I can't see it, because Man U don't have the money. Man U cannot bid what Arsenal and Man City have bid so far. Well, they could, but I think Man U need to get quite a few players in rather than just one big signing. I think they need to get a few. And that's why when all the rumours are linking Declan to Man United, or they're linking Man United to making a bid, there's always players involved. I've not yet seen Man U will bid 90 million for Declan Rice. I've not seen that yet. It's always Man U will offer X million plus that player or both players. The part exchange thing is how Man U will structure it. I don't really expect Man United to bid, if I'm honest with you. I think part exchange deals is a very difficult thing. It doesn't happen very often in football. Never mind for a player worth potentially 100 million when you're trying to bid with Man City and Arsenal as well. And Sullivan's all over this. It's been reported that Sullivan is leading the negotiations for this. I think that's quite obvious. When you don't have a technical director, I think, well, what else are you going to do? While he's not arrived yet, it's who else is going to be doing it? It's going to be Sullivan. We know Rob Newman was involved a little bit in negotiations last season for the players arriving at West Ham, but players leaving is a completely different thing. So Sullivan's all over this. The one thing that makes me a little bit iffy with it is, and it's not even that I'm not David Sullivan's big, I'm putting that to one side. It's, if Man City did want to try and offer a player, what's David Sullivan's knowledge? Does David Sullivan know who Cole Palmer is? I don't know, he possibly does, but does he? I'm not too sure. I'm not that convinced that his knowledge of the youngsters at Man City or Arsenal. So does David Sullivan know who Balogun is? And if he does he know how to work out his transfer value, if you like, to include it into these deals? I'm not too sure. So for that reason, I've almost convinced myself a part exchange with Arsenal and Man City won't happen. But neither of those clubs have yet to bid offering players. They've just stuck to cash transactions, which I think I prefer, to be honest with you, especially if we are going to have this new technical director. I'd much rather he got 90 million to spend rather than 40 million, plus we've got this player in, but you've now got 40 million. I'd much rather he was able to go pick the players to come in to West Ham this summer than get ones forced upon us. It's not to say these are bad players, and it's not to say I wouldn't want them, by the way. Would I want Balogun? Yeah, I'd be open to that, but I'd almost rather negotiate it separately, away from the Declan Rice deal a little bit, because when they get included, I'd imagine their values are inflated. Arsenal turn around and say, oh, he's worth 35 million, so here's your 70 million, 35 million, that's 105 million, that bid. I think it's difficult. I think it's hard to then, you've almost got to negotiate a value for Declan Rice and negotiate a value for the player that they're adding into the deal as well. And I think that becomes a little bit trickier. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now. Really, really good news for West Ham. This is moving fast. There might be a bid from Arsenal later on today. We might have a second bid from Man City today. Hopefully we get both, because I want this wrapped up quick. The longer it goes on, the less time we have to buy players. It's as simple as that. Anyway, Man City's official bid for Declan Rice rejected immediately by West Ham United. If you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it. Subscribe to Hammer's Chat. Catch you in a bit.